Story 1. Am I the a-hole for denying my ex his son after he abandoned us and I took the choice alone to give him up for adoption? I, 32 female, had a baby boy when I was 16. Yes, I know how that sounds like. No, we weren't careful. Judge me all you want on that front. I've dealt with that for years. Mike, 33 male, was my boyfriend then. And when I found out about my pregnancy, he did a disappearing act with help from his family. Something, future college star? Something. My parents were always blunt. What happened next was my choice. After a lot of thinking and deciding abortion just wasn't for me. I respect that right. I'm not here to debate it. It was just not for me. I chose to give up the baby for adoption. My parents knew a super sweet couple that were looking to adopt. We met, and I just knew they were the right people. This turned from a teen mistake to an almost surrogacy. I started homeschool to finish my education and to have rest. The adoptive parents were with me for everything, and even paid for most of the medical cost. The adoptive mother was a teacher, so she helped me with my schoolwork and to prepare for college. They were present for the birth, and I refused to hold the baby. Instead, his actual mother did. And it was just right. I've stayed in the baby's life in a distant position as a special aunt. Well, he's no longer a baby, and he knows who I am. But his mom is the same woman that raised him, and I continue to be his special aunt. The only change is now he knows who to call if he needs a kidney. His sense of humor is like mine, go figure. We talk maybe once in a blue moon, which in all honesty is the best. He's happy, and I don't regret giving him up to have a happy life. For my part, I married 6 years ago. My husband, Aaron, 44 male, was divorced in good terms with Bella, 40 female. They have 2 children together, a boy that is 16 and a girl that is 19. Aaron made it clear since we began dating that his kids' approval was important and that Bella was part of his life forever. Not as a spouse, but as a friend and mother to his children. I also told Bella and him about my teen pregnancy. Well, to begin with the kids, my stepdaughter and I get along well. She's obviously closer to her mother, but she still does girls' days with me every so often. It's more like friends, though. My stepson is incredibly close to me. He calls me his other mom and always asks me to be present for important events. We bonded when his childhood dog passed away, as my cat died about the same time. Bella and I? We're best friends. I know people have complicated relationships with their partner's exes, but we always show respect to each other. I never tried to take her place. I know Aaron and her shared something special long before I was in the picture. That's their history. And I am a stepmom, not a mom. Her place in the kid's life is not up for competition. The reason for this background is that the whole mess with Mike started when I took my stepson to a medical appointment. It wasn't serious, though he did have to use anesthesia. Aaron and Bella both couldn't get the day off. They tried, but their jobs are on call, and they cannot easily take time off. So I went on my own to be my stepson's support. I didn't recognize Mike as one of the doctors. His real name, both first and last name, are incredibly common, and it had been years. Not to mention my priority was being my stepson's support, and everything else was secondary. After my stepson was done, he was a bit out of it as expected. I was setting him up in the car and making sure he was comfortable when Mike came over. He told me he had been thinking about me and our son for so long, and he was glad our boy was okay. It really took me a few minutes for my brain to click on what was going on, and he kept on rambling about apologies and how he wasn't ready to be a father. Blah, blah, blah. Eventually, I just sighed and loudly said, "This is not the baby I was pregnant with. I gave him up for adoption after I gave birth. I am a stepmother." My loopy stepson chimed in with, "Other mom." I had to hold back a smirk, to be honest. Mike was stunned by that, and it gave me time to catch him up on the important details. I gave up the baby. He knows what happened and why I gave him up. I married a man with 2 children. I am happy and don't want him in my life. And no, I won't give him contact information for the adoptive family. He is 16 years too late. That was the end of it, and I got into my car to get my stepson home to rest. Since then, Mike found me in social media and has been painting this sob story about me denying him a chance to be a father. How I was a poor mother that threw away her child to raise someone else's children. I'm basically the she-devil, apparently. Most of our former classmates that saw the post reminded him that he left me. Some of his high school friends even pointed out he laughed about leaving me pregnant. I didn't know that part. A few of his relatives have reached out to bash me about taking Mike's chance to be a father, that it made me a poor Christian. I'm not. I'm Jewish to begin with. A few friends did tell me it was a B move to give the baby up without telling Mike. I don't personally think I was in the wrong, but in case I decided to leave the judgment to the internet masses. So, Reddit, am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. When he abandoned you and his son, he made the choice of not being a part of his or your life, and you don't need to tell him anything else. The decision of adoption was yours, and you did what you think was right, and that's normal. You didn't deny him anything, he did it himself. Not the a-hole. Exactly. The audacity of Mike to claim she denied him anything is astonishing. He denied himself the opportunity to be a father when he left her alone to deal with the consequences. She did what was best for the baby's well-being, and that's what matters. These people are effing psycho. Block, block, block. Your bio kid might decide for himself to try and find his bio dad one day, but it's your job to defend his privacy until then, and make sure his decision is informed, i.e., he knows that his bio dad is a complete bum. I told him everything when his parents decided it was time to tell him who I was, really. I didn't make Mike into a villain, just said he left after I told him I was pregnant and never reached out. He's been clear that while I am his biological mother and Mike is his biological father, he doesn't see either of us as parents. I am his aunt, and Mike is a stranger. These effing people. The audacity! I'm glad our son is okay. You mean the one you laughed about leaving me pregnant with because you were going to be a college star? Get effed, dude. It's been over a decade. You had to be told this wasn't your kid because you never even checked in post-birth with Op-E. Dude is lucky all Op did is smirk. We would have had words if it was me. Edit to add, this is a clear cut, not the a-hole. And Op, you are a saint for putting up with his bullcrap. Oh, trust me, I wanted to smack him. But I had the closest thing to a drunk teen in my car that needed to get home to take a nap. So priorities. The bad mood left me during the drive. Teens under anesthesia are hilarious. Exactly. Mike had his chance and blew it. You did what was best for your son and gave him a better life. People need to stop acting like you're obligated to let him back in after all this time. You've got your own family now, and he has no right to guilt trip you. Not the a-hole at all. Not the a-hole. Hi, therapist here. Seems like it was the right decision for everyone involved. Especially Mike, who clearly shouldn't be anywhere near children given his full lack of impulse control and empathy. As a fellow Jewish lady, I recommend laughing at the poor Christian comments. My mom loves them. I'm in a mixed household with dad being Jewish and mom being Catholic. My mom laughs every time I get a new one the hardest. Story 2. Am I the a-hole for not paying my parents' mortgage after my sister moved in? For the past 8 years, I, 32 male, have been paying my parents' property taxes and mortgage. They are retired and have very little retirement savings because they put all their money into my sister, 29 female, and I's education. We both went to top universities and found successful jobs afterwards. I felt like I owed my parents for all they sacrificed for me, so it was a no-brainer to help them retire with no financial stress. My parents did not consult my sister about splitting these costs with me. Instead, the agreement was that I would get a larger share of the house. Fast forward to now, my sister unfortunately lost her job last year, and as a result, doesn't have much savings. She moved in with my parents to save money while she looks for a job. I recently found out that my sister pitched staying permanently in my parents' house, and my parents agreed. I was furious at this, because I had been paying for the house with the understanding that it would be sold, and I would get a larger share. It is very likely my sister never sells the house and instead raises her eventual family there. Because the original agreement with my parents changed, I stopped paying for the mortgage, leaving it up to my sister to take care of if she's taking over the house. My parents are furious with me, saying I'm too money-obsessed and should be continuing to help the family while my sister is in a tough spot still looking for a job. Instead, they are promising that eventually my sister will pay me out for my share of the house plus whatever else I contributed over 8 years. I turned that offer down because there's no real guarantee this will happen, and I don't trust my sister to follow through financially. I may be the asshole for taking such a cynical stance and leaving my family in financial stress, but I feel like I was already burned once through verbal agreements, and I don't want to get burned again. Am I the a-hole? Edit. My sister is fully opposed to selling the house because of the sentimental value. I'm not on the deed because when you put someone else on the deed in California, your house is reassessed and it will double our current property tax. There are also some implications to my parents' Social Security payments if I do so. I wish I got something in writing, but I felt like an asshole asking for something like that from my family. It was naive of me to think that way. Now for the comments. 8 years is a long time to be paying a mortgage with only a verbal agreement. Even if you were on great terms, always get things in writing. You could cut your losses here. It is unlikely you'll see your money back. If the house is big enough for sister and potential future family to live in, why didn't parents sell and downsize if it's just the two of them? They need to anyway if you cut them off. Not the a-hole. This is all around poor financial planning. Your parents should put the house into a trust. Also, even if you are morally right, if their house gets foreclosed on and you lose all your investments and your parents get thrown on the street, who exactly does that help? The only a-holes I see are your parents for being furious with you instead of grateful for all the time you've helped. I need to know their ages because how did they feel comfortable retiring without being able to afford their own mortgage? Not the a-hole. My parents had us at an old age. They were eligible for Social Security, worked manual labor jobs, and had declining health. It made sense for them to retire. If they couldn't get my help with the mortgage, then they would have had to keep working or sell their house. They should have sold the house. Clearly they can't afford it. And now the entire family is in a bind. For a retired couple, a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom is just fine. Maybe a second room for hobbies or an office. Otherwise, they're probably living in a home far larger than they can support. Especially if y'all are concerned about property taxes. Don't do it. Stop paying now. As someone who was suckered into this exact position 20 years ago, I now have nothing to show for it. First it was, oh, they will just be staying for a few months. Then, oh, it's just a few more months. 20 years is what those few months turned into. My name is on the deed. I get no benefit from it. Just a bunch of headaches. Get lawyers involved, show the proof of what you've been paying for however many years, get yourself sorted and paper trails. If they want to live in a place you are paying for, get a tenancy agreement and charge market rate rent because my family tenants are paying $75 per week. The other units like mine are rented out at $600 per week. When I mentioned that, I was told, "You wouldn't do that to family, would you?" And, "Oh, stop acting so selfish. Money isn't everything. Please, please be careful." With family, I found that they were staying there because they needed it. And it's just a small favor. And everyone's favorite. It's just till they get back on their feet. They living the life of Riley on your dime. And let's not forget when crap goes wrong in the place. Suddenly it'll be, but you're the landlord. And paying for everything anyway. And trust me, you will end up paying for things that need to be fixed. And of course, it's you who will foot the bill. How do I know experience, darling? Experience. It's a money drain. Do not let this happen to you. It can't go both ways. You need to take care of you, not the leeches in your life. Protect yourself now before it's too late. Thanks for sharing. I'm sorry this happened to you. I might have to take the loss on what I've given them so far, but it's probably better to stop the bleeding. Story 3. Am I the a-hole for giving money to my sister-in-law so that she doesn't go homeless, which resulted in breaking their marriage? Almost a year ago, my brother and I had a huge fight during family party. We all got pretty drunk. And I was just talking to my sister-in-law. We were discussing about finances. She was asking me for advice, but my brother started getting angry and accused me of hitting on her, which resulted in us getting physical. I and my sister-in-law tried to calm him down and explain everything to him, but it didn't work even after our fight. I tried my best to explain everything to him, but he told me to F off. We haven't talked to each other, including my sister-in-law, since then, and we basically cut each other off. But a month ago, my sister-in-law gave me a visit, and she told me that she lost her good-paying job and she wouldn't be able to pay the house loan and begged me for help. She was crying so much, and she said she didn't know what to do. I agreed to help her, not just for her and my brother, but for my niece and nephew. They have 2 kids. I helped them, 'cause I am financially comfortable, and we decided that to hide it from my brother, 'cause he wouldn't agree with it and might start accusation. We both decided to tell him that this financial help came from her family, and she told me she would return. But I told her to not to, cause I am helping my brother and his family. He's my brother, and his family is also my family. And no matter how much we hate each other, he's still family. That was my thinking. But now my brother knows the truth. He checked her phone and saw our texts, and he knows the help came from me. He called me a lot of names and accused us both, and lashed onto his wife and even said he's divorcing her. I said he's insecure and I just wanted to help him and his family, and he is so angry and insecure and hates me so much that he doesn't even want me to help him. I told him that I didn't just help him, but helped my niece and nephew. He wants a divorce, and from what I know, he called my sister-in-law names and she kicked him out. We are somewhat in touch, and we both think that I shouldn't have helped, but we also think it's better to ask a family member for help than going homeless, if not for us adults, but for kids. Now for the comments. Your brother is abusive, controlling, and insecure. Your sister-in-law deserves to be with someone who respects her. If he divorces her, then that is a blessing for her. I know you love your brother, but he is not a good person from what you've described. You didn't do anything wrong. You just gave money to help your family. Don't feel bad. Divorce is the right option for them. If they don't get divorced, then she'll spend her life miserable, and her kids will watch their father continuously disrespect their mother. I won't lie. It's kind of sad that my brother is going to lose his family over what? Stupidity? Money? Insecurities? I tried my best to back him up and help him, even though we don't talk to each other, and without hurting him. But I never expected he would go check her phone and texts between us. One wonders how long he has been checking our texts when me and my sister-in-law didn't even talk to each other for such a long time. All I did was gave her money because she was in a difficult position, and she was the who earned the most. And I did it for him and my niece and nephew. I hate to say it, but you are right. As much as I love my brother, I am glad she is divorcing him. She doesn't deserve it. And neither does the kids, when my brother would put his feelings before his own kids. I cannot sympathize or help him anymore. He is acting like an insecure teen, just because I was discussing with his wife in front of everyone. You loaning the money to sister-in-law did not cause the breakup of their marriage. Your brother caused it. Stop stressing about this because there is nothing you can to repair their relationship. Only he can change and try to get her back. You're not the a-hole, but damn, you walked into a minefield with this one. Your brother sounds like he's got the emotional maturity of a soggy sponge and a jealousy complex that could rival Shakespearean tragedy. Helping your sister-in-law to avoid homelessness and ensuring your niece and nephew weren't living in a cardboard box was the right thing to do. That's basic humanity, not betrayal. But secrets, even well-meaning ones, are messy. By hiding it, you unintentionally fueled his insecurities. Dude already thought you were hitting on her, so this financial assist confirmed his paranoia in his mind. That's on him, though, not you. Your brother needs therapy, not a divorce lawyer, but that's out of your hands. You did what was right for the kids and the family, even if it lit a fire under his fragile ego. Don't let his tantrum make you doubt your actions. Thank you for listening. If you like the video, consider like and subscribe. If you want more stories like these, turn on your notification to receive the latest stories.